Welcome back to the Bachelorette Charity Lawson's Journey to Find Love, Episode 2. In this video, I want to talk about the psychology behind group competition, how strategic I think Charity is being, and all things Barbie. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Hi there, welcome back. So good to see you, and thank you for all the positive comments. I read all of them, so please feel free to list your thoughts. What would you like to see more of, less of? I love that everybody loves my new studio and my Barbies. And if you're not following me on Instagram, please do. Go to my page, Back to Love Doc, because I am doing reels on my Barbies. They're talking in this one. I've got, I had Gabby, I have Charity, and I also have Brayden in my reel. So make sure that you follow me there. Okay, so let's dive right into episode number 2, which I just loved. Again, we're only 2 episodes in. It's going to go by super fast. So I want to give you all my best thoughts. Well, first off, I have to say, I'm really beginning to warm up to Jesse Palmer a bit. He starts off the night and shoots back a fashion idea with Brayden.
Can I just ask you real quick, Brayden, what's up with the outfit today? What are we going with?
Hey, what's up with the outfit? And here's Jesse, who looks like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in his gray little sweater. But I thought, I love that we're finally seeing some personality from Jesse. And I thought that's great. And an indication, as I said last time, that the editing's changed a little bit. I think that's what's going to make for a great season. But we've got 2 group dates and 1 one-on-one. Okay, let's start with the first one-on-one with Aaron B. What do we know? Well, Charity looks smashing, I might say, in her green leather jacket. I don't think I've seen a green that is that beautiful. She wears it well. She comes in. She takes Aaron away. He's looking nice too. He's got his little turtleneck and his jacket on. But all the guys, of course, are jealous. Okay, I think it was Aaron S. who says, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This is a muscle car. They get into the Mustang. They're going to LA. But here's the thing, and I don't know if it's just me, but I wanted more from Aaron. Okay, I wanted him to go over and open her door, right? Because it's always awkward when the lead is driving. She's also driving on this supposedly treacherous road to get to the LA sign, which is not very well traveled, but it looked janky, right? The road looked bad. I thought, oh my God, it's, they can't wear sunglasses. Do you notice that too? And the wind is whipping and her hair. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So the first part of the date did not overwhelm me. Okay. Why? Again, because I thought Aaron actually could have been doing a little bit more. And Charity, as we know, is a Southern girl. And I love her Southern drawl and the way that she talks. But usually, I'm just saying, usually Southern women like someone who is more chivalrous, right? Like when they're kissing and the chemistry is all good and they're making out in the back of the convertible car. But when they're at the Hollywood sign and they're walking in, because you can't get in unless you have permission, of course, because it's illegal. But she's walking ahead of him and asking him if he's okay. Why isn't he there, helping her to make sure that her footing's okay? Because that looks a little bit treacherous, right? And so I just wanted a little bit more from Aaron. Okay, to Aaron's credit, maybe he's nervous. The first date, kind of like the first impression rose, puts a target on your back. And it's really hard then later, because it gets into your head. Like we saw last season, it got into Greer's head about if I am the first date or if I'm the first impression rose, and then do I get the first date? So it might get in Aaron's head. Now, at the night portion, I actually thought that went better. And by the way, where is that theater? Do you know? Gorgeous. Love the theater in LA. But the things that they do, I mean, I'm impressed with, the Aaron and Charity on the marquee. That's going great. I do think Aaron knows, he's smart, that Charity is a therapist. So he's going to bring up that he went in for therapy. And I thought that was well done. Good, perfect time to talk about. I endorse what it is that you do, because being a therapist myself, I ask the men that I was dating. Have you been to therapy? Fortunately, my husband had also been to therapy, and I think it's a good sign, right? Somebody who is not going to be afraid to go to talk to somebody. But here's the thing that got me just a little bit worried about that. Okay, so he had a long-term relationship. He says he's unlucky in love. And then he went because he wasn't a good boyfriend. I love that he went. But to me, I'm thinking, ooh, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean you're avoidant type and you don't share enough? You weren't vulnerable? Does it mean that you have jealousy issues? So all of that is just something to know, okay? All right, and I wanted to see, as I said earlier in the day, a little bit more from Erin. Okay, so in the meantime, what's going on in the house? Well, the guys are acting like guys. It's spring break, etc. They're jumping into the pool. And who could blame them? Especially it's freaking cold outside, right? We see the leather jackets. They're in the pool. We're going to get to the group date, the dodgeball. Okay, let's talk about that. So the dodgeball. Now Jesse shows up very dressed up, right, with his dapper jacket. He's being a newscaster in his role. That's what he does, right? It looks like that's where Jesse is really, that's his lane, right? He's most comfortable in that role. But we're moderating a game, and I didn't know who the woman they chose, excuse me if she's a famous broadcaster, but I wanted to see a little bit more spice. I thought that what was the funniest thing, well, funny and not funny, was the poor spectators. My God, they are there like so close to the ball. Did you see how many times I'm like, oh, I'm gasping because like the ball, these athletes, ripped guys are whipping the ball and they are so close. And I think, my God, can't they back off? It seemed like it was a little too much. Like they say, hey, do you want to be in a Bachelor competition? Sure. And then you're like, oh my God, get me out of here. So, but let's talk about something that I think is really fascinating in psychology. And it's really about competition and how people either shine or they don't. But we know it either brings out the best or the worst in people. And I don't know if you knew this, but there are 4 different types of competition. There is an interesting article in Psychology Today you can check out, and it's based upon the work of Fisher and Cox, addressing the strategies we utilize during heterosexual male competition, which dodgeball is a perfect example of that. So participants in this article were asked, how do you compete with others of the same sex? For example, in dating or attention. And there are 4 types of strategies that I think we can learn something from. One is called self-promotion, right? Which is self-explanatory. I'll get to that. 2, competitor derogation, being derogatory towards someone. 3, competitor manipulation. And 4, mate manipulation. And some of these aren't as bad as it sounds. Okay, so as the name indicates, number 1, self-promotion. That involves promoting one's body or athleticism, personality, and or appearance. We see this kind of behavior in the dodgeball date, right? That they're supposed to be athletic and be competitive, but someone can be flirting and or to appear socially attractive. Okay. That's all good, right? Good competition, good, clean competition. But now competitor derogation is when you're acting overly aggressive towards your rival, indirectly insulting them. And we saw some insult happening here, spreading gossip about the other person or portraying oneself as maybe being, too toxic in terms of masculinity. All right, the 3rd type of strategy is competitor manipulation, maneuvering the attention of the competitor away from the desired mate towards an alternative mate. So this could involve indirectly manipulating the competitor to appear less desirable in front of the desired mate. And finally, the least offensive is mate manipulation. Now, it's really not manipulation, but in the article, that's what they called it, which involves expressing interest to the desired mate in a way to enhance your perception of similarity and shared interests. This is a good thing to do when you're spending one-on-one time with someone. Okay, So now, because the dodgeball date required pure athleticism, who stood out for me? Xavier, Caleb, Adrian, they were all really in it. Who deserved the MVP? Well, we'll get to that, right? But Charity, I thought she probably, I don't know if she even chose this date. What do you think? Because again, I don't think she's really into the peacocking. But I think, of course, you don't have much say. And the dates are kind of predetermined, right? They decide what dates are going to be fun. There's a lot of production involved. And then you just put the names in. And at this point, there's just so many, right? But she sent the jumper home because she doesn't like the peacocking. And when it comes to, again, the MVP, this is why I don't think she chose Caleb. Caleb, who had like the is it Matthew 3:16 on his chest? I love Charity on his arm. A little bit too much. And I thought Adrian, who was equally competitive, but didn't have quite that bravado. And so I think it was an easy choice for Charity to choose Adrian, despite the fact that Brayden might have thought that Caleb should have gotten MVP. I don't know. Let me know what you thought. Okay, but here's the thing. And here's going to be the theme of Charity's season, is that she's going to choose someone who she can connect with, right? We already know what's important to Charity, being vulnerable, right? And who gets the group date, Rose? John. Why? Because John was athletic, but he didn't boast about it. Did you notice? He had a very nice, John says, well, I was a competitive basketball player. Like, who knew? Because John doesn't lead with that. But then in the one-on-one, as we peel the onion and you start to see who someone is, John brings it up. And then she says, ah, yes. And he says, well, you were in cheer, and that's athletic. And he's in basketball, and so that's a lovely moment. But I thought that was good competition, and John had a really nice mix of being competitive but also self-promoting, and then disclosing something that they had in common. Again, it's called mate manipulation. I don't like the term, but that is the point, that he was joining with her. Okay, so now let's get to the second group date with Rachel and Gabby. Okay, check on my reels about this one, because this is where I have my Barbie who is in Gabby's voice, and I don't know. What do you think? I love Rachel and Gabby. I do. I'm just still sad about the fact that neither one of them is with their chosen partner, right? We went through all of that in the Bachelorette season, and I'm like, ugh. So to me, it's like, well, okay, they have been in the position before, but I think it would have been more positive, right? If either one of them had still was happy in their relationship. Anyway, okay, so Charity says, and I think this is really important. She says this, and I think she does everything with intention, and I'm going to get to this in my next video too. She says that I'm going into this date blind, meaning I don't know where I'm going, what this date is, what's going on. I'm going to show up in a dress with my big hoop earrings, looking good, but she doesn't even know what's going on here. And then, Gabby and Rachel are here. Okay. So now this is a different level of competition, not athletic competition, but really the point of the story is to talk about kissing, to talk about past loves. And I think this can be a sweet moment where the guys did say that overall, despite the fact that Joey gets the one-on-one, that it was a positive thing. So I think there was just a lot more that was probably cut out, right? And I think Charity gets to see a sweeter side in these guys. And these are not like the most athletic guys that she's choosing. These are, I think she chose them for a specific reason. Here are the athletes and here are the other guys. Okay. So what I thought was really sweet, though, was Rachel, who whispers to Charity, Joey's really looking at you. And Rachel, who we know was sensitive, and for good reasons, because they pitted Rachel and Gabby against each other, I'll never forget. And so she notices this, and Charity's like, yeah, he does keep looking at me, and he's beautiful. And I love that moment because, first off, I think Joey is very attractive. And who knows? We'll see how far he goes because I have a theory he's going to go really far. But if not that, maybe Joey's being set up to be the next Bachelor. Who knows? But he is beautiful. And I think Joey handles the competition really well, right? He's listening to all the stories about everyone's prior loves. And here's the thing. Nobody really wants to hear about your past love, do you? I know for me, like, we're well aware everybody has a history. But I thought the stories were sweet when Warnick says, you know, my last girlfriend, and she's walking down the runway, and I'd love to see that. And they're doing the kissing thing with the hands. That I could have done away with. That reminded me of last season where there was like this kissing weird stuff. But I think that Joey, now bringing it into the real present moment, like I haven't had the best kiss yet, that was brilliant. So was it too much? Here's the thing. Okay, we're going to get to this. Production tells you that you're going to do the longest kiss. And if we remember the Sean Lowe kiss, and then I think there was another couple in Bachelor in Paradise who had a kissing contest too. But the Sean Lowe kissing contest was really painful. And we had to see like many minutes of this kissing. They only showed seconds of them kissing, but the guys had to watch it, right? And all right, it's a competition. You know what you're there for. You're going to see the kisses, and I'm going to get to that because, of course, Brayden has issues with this. But Gabby is screaming, get a room already. And that was just such classic Gabby behavior, which is like what you love Gabby for, right? Like that to me was just funny. Okay, now let's go to the night portion with Joey. And by the way, again, outfit after outfit, Charity just knocks it out of the park. She's got that beautiful white outfit, her hair. I just think, my God, this girl's wardrobe is beautiful. Like the cocktail gold dress, my God, it's like each of these is like an Oscar-winning outfit. So really, they've upped the production value. I'm going to get to that too. But the night portion with Joey is super sweet. And what, of course, we're all going to be Joey stans is that he discloses, you know, I understand, Charity, that your parents are happily married. Well, let me tell you more about this, that I was loved. And of course, as a therapist, this is going to matter to her because as a therapist, you can't help but think, how is this person? Because we know the importance of family and feeling a secure, functioning person, meaning my parents loved me, I felt secure in that relationship, then I'm going to have more to give in my other relationships. If I felt insecure, I have an anxious attachment style, I might overreact, over-respond. We're going to get to Brayden. And if I have no love, I'm going to be more avoidant type. I don't know about Aaron yet. So I'm thinking about all of those things. But Joey says, my parents got divorced because my father came out as gay. And wow, okay, that is also a great example of there was a lot of love. It just wasn't the right lifestyle choice. And I loved that Joey is very straightforward about it, comes out. Of course, Charity receives that information really well. It's a lovely moment for the two of them, but I love that we're going to continue this conversation because if Joey gets a hometown, then we get to see a same-sex couple in the family, starting with Joey's family. And I think that that's a good conversation to have because if I'm not mistaken, that is the first that I can recall that we've seen on TV in The Bachelor. Okay, so let's get to Brayden. Here is Brayden. He has a scarf. I even gave him an earring, which keeps falling out, but I had to have my husband poke a hole in his ear and put him together like this. Okay, so Brayden is very bold and has opinions about a date that he wasn't on. But he needs to somehow defend the other men because he feels offended for them, which is funny because this is also like the Joseph comment. Because Joseph, who, if you will recall, was not on the Dodgeball date, but he took offense because his daughter was at home and might see these guys in this date and he thought it was sort of beneath them, right? But Brayden, I just don't know. Is he just that young? Because he is young. He's 24. I think he's, hold on one second. Brayden, sorry, I have my cheat sheets here. 24 years old. 24 years old, Brayden. Okay, that's young, relative to the other guys too. And maybe he's not watched the show before. Like, Brayden doesn't understand, and why I'm coming back to this point is that Charity herself said, I'm going into this date blind, meaning I haven't set this up. So now Brayden comes in and has all these opinions about his brothers and how he needs to like stand up for them. And she's saying, what? So Brayden now, this is really where things go bad, that he says that it was classless. Now I had to go back and say, did he say that Charity was classless or the date was classless? Because that's a distinction. But he does say that he's questioning her character. And the question was, what does Charity do with that information? And I'm going to get to it because I think she handled it beautifully again. But he doesn't quite get how things work. Okay, so you're the Bachelorette. You walk in blind into this date that's been set up. And what is she supposed to do? She's supposed to say, no, I don't want to kiss Joey for 4 minutes because the other guys should have time. Now, we've seen some, it was Matt James on the bowling date where the one team that won, he said everybody wins. I don't know, but Charity likes Joey and they're there for a one-on-one, and all the other guys did say that they were satisfied with the date. And this is the part where Brayden's telling Josh, I believe it was, that, you know, you say you had a good time, but how could you really? And that's invalidating, because if the guys felt like they had an opportunity to get to know Charity, then that was enough for them. But a competition is a competition, right? So here's where Brayden is just getting lots of airtime. And we know that early on, they always need to make one person kind of a villain. And in terms of villain, I don't even think Brayden's that bad a villain, right? He's not someone who's outwardly all that offensive, okay? But the problem is, now Adrian is befriending himself to Charity about being the person who's kind of the eyes and the ears of the house, right? Like, I'm the more mature person. Everybody else is on spring break but me. And this is where some information is good, but I don't think it's going to actually help Adrian, because it's not going to facilitate him getting to know Charity any better. So when it comes to strategy and what is best, back to what they call mate manipulation, which is really just joining, right? And I would say John did this well. Joey did this well, by both talking about things that Charity can get behind. But Brayden does not do this well. And then the silliness of it all, well, I'm leaving. I'm packing my bags. I've packed my bags. And he says it 3 times. That was in my reel. He's trying to get Charity to convince him to stay. Like, dude, you have not watched the show. Okay, I'm gonna put Brayden to bed here. You have not watched the show because you don't understand that Charity's not in that position to get you when she's got other great guys, that you're needy, you're too much. For me, Brayden has an anxious attachment style, and he's saying, I need lots of affection and I need lots of attention. And honestly, Charity didn't give him that much. I think she's smart, and she knows from a behavioral reinforcement perspective in psychology, I'm going to get to this in my next video, that she's shutting part of that down, saying, yeah, we had a connection night 1, Brayden, but now that I'm hearing things where you're questioning my character, so whether she reacted strongly or not in the episode, she's a smart cookie, and she's taking this all in, and she's saying, I don't know, compared to these other men who are really stepping up, compared to these other men who are really smart and accomplished, I just don't see how far Brayden's looks and his earrings are going to go for him, okay? But here's the question then. how is Charity, are the pros and cons of being a therapist. So for me, Charity as a therapist, and it's going to be hard, I'm just going to say, for any other person to come after Charity because she's setting the bar really high. Given all of this, given that she's a therapist, and some people are saying, well, maybe she's going to be too empathic. Here's the thing, and I'll tell you she's not. Because as a therapist, while I might see something, and I can hold space for other people and my clients, I'm constantly filtering that information in terms of thinking about what that means. So I too on dates would get guys who would say, oh, I don't know why I'm telling you all of this. I'm like, because I'm a therapist and because I can hold space for all of that. But I still can use that as information to decide then. It doesn't mean I put up with everything. It doesn't mean I don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean I won't send you home. And we're going to see that Charity's going to snip somebody's rose off their lapel. Because don't push me. And being a therapist means you've got a good BS checker, right? You are able to see through things and to know. It doesn't mean that, and in her past, again, historically, she might have given the wrong people too many chances. But I think this is what I love about Charity, that she's going to be sassy and she is going to sass back. She's not going to put up with it, and nor should she, because she has great men here, and I think there's some really nice connections forming. Okay, people who stood out for me in the whole thing: John Warnick, we just haven't seen enough of him, but really sweet, good looking. Joey. I think Xavier, he on the Dodgeball, he stuck his tongue out a couple times. He's also, again, very attractive. I think he's super smart. I think they have a lot in common, but she's going to go for the more vulnerable type. So overall, what can we learn in this episode is that the best way to handle competition is to join, right? To just not take your time, waste your time talking too much about somebody else, but to talk about what we have in common, because at the end of the day, that's all you have, right? You can't get in your head about the competition either. You have to just make the most. That's what we learn. You've got to go all in. I talk a lot about this. The people on reality TV, time is limited, time is of the essence. You have to go all in because you don't know when you're going to get another chance. All right. So who went home? Now we've got the final rose ceremony. After we had the barbecue, again, that's where Adrian, I think, talked too much. But Charity also, went to Brayden, talked to him, and she's assessing all of this. She's taking all this information in. Nothing is going over Charity's head about the information about Brayden and who he is. So who goes home that night? Well, Brayden then gets the producer's rose, let's call it what it is, and that means very little at this point. But think about it. She's got to keep somebody around for the competition. Why do I say that? Because in attachment theory, and I'll say more in my other video, you only see who somebody is when there's threat around, when they're in a stressful situation, and I think it's brilliant to keep the person around. To keep the villain around, to see how everybody else responds to them, whether you're not going to keep them or not. But it's fascinating to learn that. So who goes home, though? Caleb A., who we barely got to know. John Henry, he was the one with the Marine helmet last week. Josh, who I thought was a nice guy. Caleb and Spencer. Spencer, right? All this speculation. Is Spencer on the spectrum? Is he not? Doesn't matter because Spencer goes home. Okay, so all of that to say, next week is going to be another big week. And this season is going so fast because the dates are pretty limited. And even in terms of the locations, we see Washington, we see New Orleans, we see home visits, and Fiji. I didn't see any other locations. I don't see any Europe. I don't know. Did anybody else see anything? If you did, let me know, because mainly people have been commenting about those visits, those dates, and this seems like a very abbreviated season. I know Charity is getting through guys quickly, Again, if she just got rid of, another batch, we're getting down quickly. But I think that's because Charity is decisive. And that's what I love. Okay, another thing that I've just learned about Charity in somebody else's post, forgive me if I'm not giving you credit, but Charity is really a good advocate for herself. Now, she's well balanced, right? She's got her career together. She's got her act together. She had a secure, functioning family. Her parents seem very loving. She's also very Christian. I mentioned that last time. And she likes to joke around. Okay, we saw that even with her and Zach. Flip me upside down, do whatever. That's a very easygoing kind of attitude. But she's also an advocate, and here's the part that you may not know about what she is advocating for behind the scenes and why I think she's as strategic and smart as she is. This is not Charity's first rodeo. She is the fourth Black Bachelorette to come through this process, and she knows what the deal is. So she's also advocating getting certain things. She wants to have conversations about interracial issues and how that might be pertinent. That's why I think Joey is in the mix here. Who knows how far Joey goes? I don't know. Could he be F1? I don't know. F1 meaning her final one. But she's advocating for those conversations because those are important. She's asking really good questions. I think she asked, was it Aaron last time, what are you really scared of, right? She asks good, compelling questions that I haven't seen many other people do. So she's also advocating for herself. She literally said, I want hair and makeup by somebody who knows how to do black hair and makeup. She said, I want a budget for my outfits. And that's why she looks as gorgeous as she does. And I don't know if you remember, People magazine put out this episode of her in her bikini. It didn't look that great, okay? Not because Charity didn't look great, but like the whole editing and the background. And then she herself on her Instagram page posted a different picture of herself in her hat and her bikini and said, this is the picture that I want. I want to approve these pictures. So I love that she is saying, if I'm your bachelorette, I want to look good. I want to have a good experience. And she is being very intentional about everything that she's saying and everything that she's doing. So stay tuned to next week where we have episode 3, which is going to be the Barbie theme. I cannot wait. And we're going to get a little bit more information on more of these guys. But that is a wrap for me. See you next week.